What's up, everybody? This is Ted Karras with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cincy hat, and you're watching Bengals and Brews.
What the hell was that? You got a new song?
Well, that's just one of those ones when I had that. Remember, I bought that thing for that one time. So I was going through the songs trying to find one because everything I put, we had a different one Friday. But it keeps saying on Facebook, like, you're sharing music rights and revenue.
Oh,
it's
my
like,
God.
we don't even make any fucking money. So why the hell am I giving people money for these fucking songs? Like,
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if this one says that too. But it was made by our buddy Al.
Oh, Al. He's a good guy. Al helps me a lot with my T-shirt shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like Al.
Yeah. That's just what we got. None of those songs are good. I went through all of them that I'd done that time. Remember, I thought it was going to be like unlimited fucking, and then it lasted like half a day that I was making those, and it was like, oh, you're out of turn. I'm like, why'd I pay for it? You
I never
got like 50.
I use that Chat GPT, and I've never tried to do a song on. I wonder if it can do songs.
I don't know.
I've done some shirts on there, though. Some pretty badass shirts. And by the way, it's hot as fuck out, and I got tank tops, man.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what Greg
Sun's
said.
out, guns out.
Greg said that he is too tired to come on today and from work. It's hot. It's like 93, 94. I push mode, so I feel that pain. Did the push mode today. I was cutting limbs for a couple hours yesterday. Yeah, pretty sweaty. Probably stink. I haven't showered yet.
I haven't showered today, but
tired.
That's because
tired. Still sweating.
I was just sleeping, and so I haven't showered yet today. But I don't plan on it later.
Oh, maybe Greg's not too tired.
Yeah, I got called a little bitch because I wanted a day off, but whatever. I'm here.
Takes a lot of energy to sit in the air conditioning in a chair. I apologize.
Maybe someone wants a day off. I'm cool with it, but no.
If you guys want to argue, you can do it off the fucking show. How about that? So just go. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I'm good.
And Dustin says he loves the topics today, loving you guys branch out, talk the entire NFL. Yeah, their Bengals fans don't pay attention. And I think, this is just kind of getting a look, see who did what, who we think will be contenders, pretenders. And, we got to bring our good buddy in here.
Yeah. Well, what else we got to talk about?
Why is there like 80 topics? We're going to have to delete some of those.
I don't know, man. I don't even know how to delete them. Let me see if this is the right.
I think if you hit the settings, like over on settings.
Hold on. I got two tier makers up here. I had to find out which one. Settings. Oh, over here. Oh. Yeah, so which one do we want to take out?
Chop is alive. He forgot it was Friday.
What? Oh, yeah.
You're alive.
I am.
I don't know, because we'll have to rename them anyways.
Which one?
I said, I don't know. We'll have to rename them anyways, so I would just keep...
Just keep 4?
Yeah, just keep like 4 of them.
Look at that, man. You just hit delete row, Dale.
Yeah, I thought you could.
Best to do it live on the show.
Right.
All right, there's 4.
All right. Now, so Super Bowl contender, I think, is the top. We can't go Jamar Chase today because it's team-wise. So we're going to mix it up.
Dang it.
So he is the actual Super Bowl contender.
Oh, yeah, Super Bowl contender. Soper.
And as you're doing that, Dustin says, sleeper teams this year for me, Arizona and Seattle. Teams that are primed for regression, Washington. Ooh, sorry, child. I don't know. I've got Washington kind of high, but I am curious about Jaden Daniels. Sophomore slump's been real. And then Kansas City, yeah. I mean, Kansas City didn't really look that good for parts of last year. So does Mahomes bounce back? Does he not?
There will be no sophomore slump with Jaden Daniels. He will be better this year.
Key for a Bengals fast start. Nick says don't play conservative. Yeah, I mean, I think you've got all these offensive pieces. You got to come out firing, right? That offensive performance was awful against the Patriots. That one wasn't even on the defense that first week. We couldn't do jack shit on offense. So those guys should be humming. So what should we – so –
you can name them whatever you want. What's the second one, do we think?
So like a playoff contender?
Oh,
because if we got Super Bowl contenders, then playoff contenders.
All right.
And then I think the third one would be like, if we got Super Bowl contenders, playoff contenders. Well, that or like Dustin kind of said, like sleeper teams, up and comers, maybe up and comers.
Commerce. If I spell it like that, I'm spelling it like that. Sleepers and then what?
So we got 4 or 5. Is there 5 there? Which is fine.
Yeah. I can make it 4. Or do you want this one could be shocker?
If it's not up and comers, maybe, beside that we put like regressing teams like Dustin mentioned.
All right.
It's teams that are regressing.
All right.
And then like top 10 pick.
Okay.
Probably the bottom. That's teams that are probably going to be top 10 pick. They're at least a year, 2 years away, a quarterback away. Teams that we don't think will be very good this year.
All right. Top 10 pick 2026.
Hey, worth a shot, whatever. We may have to adjust these on the fly, Chop, if we're not.
Well, that's all right.
To a team and,
we can edit on the fly.
That's right. All right, so we got the Titans, who got Cam Ward. I should probably bring up rosters, right? Because it's impossible off the top of the dome to just remember, like, who has what. But I know they have Cam Ward, second year with Brian Callahan at coach. How do you guys feel about the Titans? I don't know that they made enough moves. I still have concerns about their wide receivers. We ranked wide receiver duos, and that one was very low. Their running backs are okay. The line that they got the one guy that used to be on the Steelers, Dan Moore, I think. I'm pretty sure at tackle, and they brought in a couple guys, but I still have questions about their line. I have questions about that entire team. How do you guys feel about the Titans?
I don't think that we have a thing up here that really describes what it is, because they're not necessarily regressing. If anything, out of our selections, I'd say sleeper, because we don't expect it. They could be, or a top 10 pick next year.
How about you, Greg?
Yeah, they're an up-and-coming team. I mean, they're just not at that point. I mean, we don't know what Cam Ward's going to bring them. I mean, if I had to, right now, I want to say regressing. They're sleepers, but I mean, I can't use the word regressing because we don't know if they're regressing or not. So if anything, I put them at lower sleepers. But it wouldn't shock me if they're a top 10 pick next year again, because I just think there's just too many question marks for them still. And I don't even think Brian Callahan's the answer.
I do think the D-line's better. Obviously, Tavondre Sweat. So looking at the roster now to jog my memory, Jeffrey Simmons has been a good defensive tackle. So they got good guys on the inside. They brought in Draymond Jones, Cody Barton in free agency. But I still don't know about their secondary. L'Jarius Sneed was not very good for them last year. So we'll see if he bounces back. Amani Hooker, Xavier Woods, Jarvis Brownlee, Roger McCreary, who I liked when he came out of Auburn, but he hasn't really been any kind of star to me. And then offensively, they did bring in Tyler Lockett, but he's decent. But Calvin Ridley doesn't scare me. Van Jefferson, like I said, Dan Moore, I don't know about. J.C. Latham moving to right tackle is probably a good thing from left. So I do think that'll help. And then I think the right side of their line will be pretty good, because that's who also got our guy Zeitler. We're hoping the Bengals again. So I don't want to say up and coming. I feel like this time next year, we could be saying it's an up and coming team. I think they're another draft at least away with the top 10 pick. So for me, I'm toward top 10.
I would agree, because it's hard to put them in any of the other ones, like the regressing. Like, I don't know, they got the number 1 pick in the draft, right? So I don't know how you say that's regressing. Top 10 pick is probably where it's at.
Yeah. And for them, I mean, a good season would be not finishing completely last,
right?
Honestly, but I mean, if they I just think they're top 10. Maybe they get closer to the 10th pick instead of the first pick.
Right.
And Callahan could get, if they are picking in the top 10, Callahan could get fired. I could see that for sure too, Dustin. Honky Kong. Yeah, so Crip gave me the name Honky Kong on Friday, Chop.
Was Callahan's first year last year or the year before?
Last year was his first year, I believe, because the damn pitcher, that was his first year as our OC.
That's right. That's what I was
So he's
trying
only
to
going
remember.
into this, but a lot of these teams do that. They'll give guys 1 and 2 years, We know that's not the case with the Bengals, but a lot of other teams are like that. And maybe he would get one more. They go from first pick to 10, if they win,
Right.
they probably win at least 6-7 games, I would say, for him to feel really safe. If they lose, if they don't win, if they only win 5 games or less, I would say he's definitely probably getting fired.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the Jets next. They brought in Justin Fields at quarterback. I know that.
Yeah.
They still have Garrett Wilson, but that's another one we talked about receivers. Josh Reynolds, Alan Lazard. That's not great. The line could be decent. They drafted Armand Membu in the first round to play right tackle. They have Fashanu they drafted last year, scheduled to play left tackle, Vera Tucker, some guys like that. Your guy Mason Taylor at tight end.
Right.
So he's going to get a lot of play with Justin Fields, I
Playoff
imagine.
contenders at least.
Could be a nice safety valve for Justin Fields. Brees Hall still at running back, Braylon Allen. Defense, they brought in Derek Nada. They got Quinnen Williams. Will McDonald, that's been there. Sauce Gardner kind of had a down season, but people expect him to bounce back. Man, this is because to me, I still feel like they're top 10, but the Buckeye homer in me, Crip Keeper, like Fields,
I would personally put him at regressing just because the Jets. Nothing against Fields or anything. I didn't think he was given a fair shot at Pittsburgh or anything, but I just think this team's regressing, man. I just don't know where their direction is. I mean, I like Aaron Glenn as an up-and-coming head coach, but I mean, this is New York, man. New York just is a very impatient city. I just think there's too much New York pressure. I'm going to say they're regressing. That's just I know they have talent, but I think they're regressing, man.
You think it's worse than last year?
That's what I was going to say. They were pretty bad last year.
That's what I'm saying.
They're pretty bad last year. Yeah, they're pretty bad last year. I don't see how it's going to be any different, though, this year, though, with Fields as their quarterback, though. I honestly
They got Mason Graham, though.
Yeah, I know they got Mason Graham. You're right about that.
Huh?
They got
Go
some
Tigers.
weapons. Yeah, I just don't know, man. I mean,
Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor. Mason Graham
Mason Taylor working out in the
went to them fuckers up north. Dude, I forgot.
Working outside all day. Spring week's got me fucked up today. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm gonna still say they're regressing. That's just my opinion now.
Okay.
I did not see the Trax X post. We may have to go look for that before the show ends about Stewart. His agent apparently had some things to say. So another fun day.
Great.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Job?
I think that probably we got these things mixed up. I think regressing should be maybe at the bottom, but I think that my pick for the Jets would be between top 10 pick for next year and sleepers, because I personally don't feel like Aaron Rodgers was trash last year. And so,
well, how about instead of regressing, we put like not a playoff contender. You know what I mean? They're not a top 10 pick, but miss playoffs. We'll miss the play. We're just a team that we think will flat out miss playoffs.
That's a better way of putting
it.
Miss playoffs.
But won't be in the top 10. You know what I mean? So basically in between that picks 10 and 20 area, 10 to 18,
so that's
whatever it is.
I would say the Jets are going to miss the playoffs.
Man, I think they could pick in the top 10, though.
You think so? What's the chat say?
No, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's going to be low miss playoffs, high top 10, it's going to be somewhere around there, man.
What does the Brew Crew say? I can't see that screen.
Here, I'll see.
Basically, Crip says he missed the episode about and Waffle Crisp is the greatest cereal. He just wanted you to know that.
Waffle Crisp. All right. I'll have to try it. I want to try that Pop-Tart one with the strawberries.
Yeah. So far, nothing.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm fine to leave it there for now, and then we'll see who
Matt Walker said Matt said top 10.
All right. Well, there you go.
And then,
that's the number one customer in the chop shop, so it's top 10.
Yeah, they got to show me something.
I agree.
Tyler says his comment's not coming through. Well, Tyler, the last time we got, you said Bengals and Super Bowl contender tier.
Yeah, we didn't say anything about the Jets.
Was Tyler's comment?
Jets.
He commented that you can't see it. and you read the
No,
comments.
I think he's asking. I think he's asking if his comments are coming through. I've seen your comments, but the last one I seen was Bengals. So we were
it's all
asking
Bengals,
about.
Tyler. I didn't see anything about the Jets, buddy.
Yeah, we were.
Wade
asking,
says Bengals Super Bowl contender.
Wanted to put the Jets.
Top 10.
All right. So now we'll move on to the Bengals. And this is tough, right? Because we got Burrow. We brought back Higgins. We brought back Chase. Al Golden, you're hoping, is the guy for the defense. I'm still worried about the guards. I'm still worried about pressure from the interior defensive line. And that's two of the biggest things I was worried about coming in. We've missed the playoffs for 2 straight years.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to just say Super Bowl contender. I know when you have Joe Burrow, that should be your expectations. That should be their expectations. But if we're looking at current performance and so many question marks still, even with Trey Hendrickson, your first-round pick, Shamar Stewart, as of right now, those guys have not been in OTAs and mini camps and stuff like that. I don't think I can put them in Super Bowl contender personally. I mean, the homer in me would say, you got Joe Burrow, it's Super Bowl contender. But I think playoff contender for now because they've missed the playoffs for 2 straight years. But they're on the cusp. Yeah. They're right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're in the playoff contender category for me. I can't put them in the Super Bowl contender, but they're definitely up high in the playoff contender.
Well, fuck y'all. I'm a homer. I'm saying Super Bowl contender, because you do got Joe Burrow and you do got an improved defense, most likely. And, the last 5 games of the year, last half of the year, the Bengals started playing better. They get a new defensive coordinator in here. This shit with Trey. Shamar Stewart is going to play. You know what I mean? He's going to sign that contract. Trey Hendrickson is practicing local, so that's new.
He's at Black Sheep. Yeah, Trey Hendrickson was at Black Sheep training facility.
Even if we rolled out the same defense as last year, shame on you fuckers for not saying Joe Burrow is going to take us to the promised land. Shame.
I hope.
Shame.
I think 2 straight years of missed playoffs. It's hard for me to just automatically say. I think you got to say you got to make the playoff. They're playoff contenders right now. To say this is a Super Bowl type favorite, because that's what a Super Bowl contender to me is like. Say? If I had to bet, I've seen playoff contenders. Tina says Bengals Super Bowl contenders. Fingers crossed, but definitely playoff contender. He said Bengals are Super Bowl contenders. So it's somewhere in that range, right? And it's tough. So I say we put them in contenders for now.
Right.
Playoff contenders with the option to bump it up if we feel like being homers by the end.
Why don't we just bump it up with the option to bump it down? I'm kidding. Go ahead with the Browns.
Yeah.
The Browns for me, it starts and ends basically with the quarterback play, right? Or I don't think they have a star at quarterback. Do I think they could be outside the top 10? Sure, but they were in the top 10 last year. They had the 2nd overall pick for a reason. It's because they had back quarterback play. I don't think Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders' 5th-round pick, I don't think any of these guys makes that team that much better. I think honestly, their fan base should want them to have a top 10 pick next year so they can actually get a better quarterback.
Right. Dale, I think they're going to miss the playoffs. I think they have a talent on defense good enough to get them picking 12 to 15. It's going to be close, but I think they'll just barely miss the playoffs. That's just my opinion now.
I think their defense definitely got a lot better with Mason Graham and Carson Schwarzenegger, the first 2 picks.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But like I say, I'm not saying they're going to be contenders or anything, but I think that can pick them. I don't know if it's top 10 pick. It's going to be close though. I'm going to say they're going to be picking 12 to 15. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, they do have a good defense, but I just think a lot of times quarterbacks win games. That was their problem last year. They had a good defense last year. I know adding Mason Graham and Carson Schwarzenegger, but they lost Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at linebacker. So that loss, to me, offsets a rookie Carson Schwarzenegger. That's a bigger loss than anything. Yeah. Mason Graham obviously is going to be a monster in there with Myles Garrett on that D line.
Hopefully,
they could be competitive, man. But I'm just going from number 2 outside the top. I don't know, man. I just don't trust their quarterback play. For me, it's top 10. But if you guys want to put missed playoffs,
I'm willing to go with the Brew Crew, whatever they think.
Yeah, no. We got T. Brookie says Dale, how cute? Oh no, that has nothing to do with it. The offensive dumpster fire said Wade. Agree, Matt. We'll hate to play them. Like I think what Dustin and Matt are saying is later in the year they're going to get better and all that because they think their offense might get better. Tina says they'll miss the playoffs for the Browns. So we got some people that are saying that it sounds like it's missing the playoffs. It looks like.
Okay.
Well, let's see what Matt.
I can go either way. I tend to lean and agree with Dale.
Yeah.
That
Matt says the Browns will be competitive.
They're not going to. Yeah, I think that. No, I do agree with Dale that the top 10 pick, but we'll see how it shakes out.
If they could just get deep, it's kind of like the Steelers, though, a little bit. They do have a very good team otherwise, and I think their line will be a little better this year. The line was very injured, so that didn't help. I still think it's a question mark with DeJuan Jones now at left tackle.
Oh, yeah?
He was already a little slow-footed. He's such a big dude. I know he's dropped some weight, but him playing left tackle, if I was a Browns fan, that would scare me.
No shit.
Anything, he's probably better to move into guard than play left tackle.
What the hell did he show at right tackle that they're moving him to left?
I don't know, man.
I mean, he's a
sure.
giant-ass man, but still.
But they do still have Batonio. They have Wyatt Teller, Ethan Pochik at center, and Jack Conklin at right tackle. So there's some talent on that line. Obviously, Jones is the biggest question mark. If it can stay healthy, because that is an aging O-line. I think that's what could bump them up from top 10 if they have better line play. So
yeah.
I'm majority of the, everybody wanted to put them there in the Brew Crew. So I got no major issue,
right.
them not being in the top 10. Hey, and I hope they're not in the top 10, but they'll actually have two chances to be in the top 10 because they'll have the Jaguars first round pick.
Oh, also. That's right. That's right.
But this is not for this exercise. We're putting the team regardless of who has the pick.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, they are.
All
Yeah,
right,
man,
I'm going to
do good this year, huh? Houston. So
Houston, I thought was going to take a big leap this year, and they didn't. You could argue Houston was a bit of a no, they made the playoffs still, didn't they?
They're going to make the playoffs. They're the best team in that division, so I would put them at playoff contenders.
I thought they were going to take a big leap this year, and they really did it. But they're still playoff contenders. You're right.
The Jaguars might be coming up this year, but I don't know if Travis Hunter tilts that.
And the Colts are that.
Yeah, the Colts got
yeah.
So the Texans obviously just recently brought in Nick Chubb, so they got him and Joe Mixon. Mixon had a good season for them. Stroud kind of had a bit of a down year compared to his rookie season, but I think he'll bounce back. The line's still been a huge question. They brought in Laken Tomlinson. They brought in Cam Robinson. But those two, Jarrett Patterson, Titus Howard, and Blake Fisher, I still worry about their line. That was a big issue last year, and then they got rid of their best lineman. They traded him. It still blows my mind. They did bring in Jaden Higgins, Jalen O in the draft, two receivers I like. Nico Collins is good. Tank Dell's going to miss the whole season. They got Christian Kirk. I think the offense will be pretty good. The defense is always good. They got Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson rushing the passer, Christian Harrison at linebacker, Stingley at corner. Kamari Lassiter had a really good season. Jalen Petrie, Kalen Bullock. And then they brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think they're easily playoff contenders.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah. If no other reason.
French Super Bowl contender. I think they could be a surprising Super Bowl contender.
And as Tyler pointed out here, you have Chubb pairing up Mixon. If Chubb can just stay decently healthy, you have him and Mixon together. Oh my God, man.
Yeah, I think playoff contenders the safe place to put them. I don't want to put them Super Bowl contender, but I think they could be a sneaky team.
No, they could.
To make it to the Super Bowl this year. It's a tough AFC. But...
Yeah, no, well, I thought what's his name, Stroud took a step back from last year. I don't know do you think Stroud still do okay? I wouldn't say sophomore slump, right?
A little bit. I mean, it just wasn't as good as his first year, so I think it's fair to say a little bit of a sophomore slump, but it's still a decent season, had some good games.
Okay.
And I think, they addressed it by bringing in Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel, and Jaden Higgins to go with Nico Collins. Like, they've given him weapons, so it's just a matter of can the line hold up? Because that was a huge problem for them last year. The line was just as much the reason that Stroud had it down here than anything C.J. Stroud personally was doing out there. That line sucked.
Yeah.
I do think
they traded what's his name? They traded. I mean, why? That was one of the stupidest trades they ever made, trading their starting left tackle.
Yeah, Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
T-Brookie, how can a fan YouTube stream not put the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders?
It wasn't me, T-Brookie.
Hey, they're right there, man. Because they missed the playoffs for two straight years.
I mean, what teams are we putting ahead of them? Is my question is if we're talking about that, is what teams are ahead of the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders? That's what I want to see, what we rank as Super Bowl contenders over the Bengals.
Hey, we can all agree to disagree.
T-Brookie, and I want them to be Super Bowl contenders. It's just for me, like you mentioned in your post there, historically bad defense. I don't know how good the defense is. It's hard for me to call them a Super Bowl contender until I see it on the field that defense is actually improved. I'm still worried about the defense. We're like, yeah, we got a lot of young talent, but it hasn't resulted in good defensive play. And we are banking on Al Golden. So now dude, it's close to being Super Bowl contender. You guys may bully me into it by the end of the show. Burrow wasn't hurt last year, though, Wade. He was hurt a couple years ago, but
Burrow went into the season hurt. His wrist was still recovering. It's still recovering, according to Joe. So, yeah, he was hurt last year.
But the offense wasn't our problem. We couldn't close out games because the defense couldn't get one stop when we needed. And I'm still not sure if we can do that.
Just look at the second half of the season. Super Bowl contenders or playoff.
But we'll move on.
Right.
We'll rehash it. The Jaguars are next. Trevor Lawrence does not have a very good season. Trevor Etienne. They brought in Patrick McCarry at guard, Robert Hainsey at center. They're trying to get a little better on the O-line. Travis Hunter, they obviously traded up for and drafted. Guess he's going to be a receiver. I still think he's better as a corner, my personal opinion. Yeah. But Diami Brown, they brought in from Washington. And then Brian Thomas obviously had a fantastic rookie season. I expect him to be very good again this year on the offensive side. Trayvon Walker's been good. Mason Smith, the young guy that I didn't necessarily love out of LSU, will be going into his second season, penciled in as a starter. They still got, Josh Hines-Allen, Devin Lloyd. Yeah, I still have questions about their secondary. Jerrion Jones, Darnell Savage, Tyson Campbell, those guys. Man, for me, I'm close to they missed the playoffs or a top 10 pick for them. And they ain't even got. I
just don't believe it. Look, Trevor Lawrence. I just don't believe it. I'm losing. I know he's had good targets before they even had Brian Thomas, Calvin Ridley. It's not like he's never had a good receiver. Man, I just don't know Trevor Lawrence. Man, I know what's his name. The former Ohio State coach screwed him over his rookie season because But still, after that, man, he did good. But then he's just been going downhill. Man, he's been getting hurt. I'm just not a believer. And I think they're at the point. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. I just don't see it with Trevor Lawrence, man. I don't.
I feel like they're sleepers.
Well, they have no reason not to try to win. They have no reason not to try to win because they don't have their pick in the first round. What do you think, Chop? That might bump them up from top 10 because they're not playing. You know what I mean? They're going to play even late season games their ass off because we don't have that pick anyways. Chop frozen?
I think he did.
Poor Chop.
Yeah.
So I think missed playoffs is a fair spot.
Yeah, I just don't know what to say. I just thought, like I say, man, remember when every Bengals fan said we should have tanked and taken, what's his name, Chase Young and wait next year to get Trevor Lawrence? I remember a lot of people were saying that, man. Oh, boy, the tables have turned with that one. But, yeah, man, no, you have a point. I see your point, Dale, but, man, I just don't see it, man. I mean, this is a big prove-it year for him right now, man. I just don't see it with him, man. Nothing against Trevor Lawrence or anything, and I have nothing against the Jaguars. I just don't see it, bud.
Yeah, I guess I should have taken a picture of that that list because I don't know who was next.
Yeah, I should have taken a picture of it myself, man. But yeah, I think next was the Patriots, wasn't it?
I honestly have no idea.
I think it was the Patriots. Here, I got a better idea. I can just take a picture from the show here. Hold on one second. Okay.
And he's ranked Super Bowl contender. I think they could be a surprising. No, and as Tyler pointed out here, you have Chubb. Turn the volume off, Greg.
I know. I told myself to shut up. Chubb's having internet issues. Sorry about that, Chubb. That's the
got a wild take. Gus says, I got a wild take. Kansas City misses the playoffs. It's possible.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I sent it to you, Dale. Here we go, buddy. Okie dokie. God damn it. Okay. That was close. Bears are next. So the Chicago Bears, Dale, I mean, they're up and coming. I'm not going to say they're definitely not going downhill because they're already down here. They're trying to work uphill right now. So I don't know, man. Do we put the Bears at top 10? I think they're sleepers. I think the Bears could be sleepers. I don't know what you think.
I mean, they got a new coach. They got the guy from the Lions. I think that's going to help. That's going to help Caleb Williams alone. I think that guy, was able to make Jared Goff a decent quarterback for Detroit. Right. So I think he's going to make Caleb Williams, at minimum, a decent quarterback. They have Rome going into a second year. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore's been there. They drafted Luther Burden out of Missouri. I thought that was a pretty good pick in the second round. And then what they've done on their interior O-line. So they had Braxton Jones at left tackle, Darnell Wright at right tackle. But then this is how I wish the Bengals would have attacked their interior O-line, and we didn't even need the center. But they traded for Joe Tooney. Joe Tooney gave him an extension. They brought in Drew Dolman as their center from Atlanta. And they also brought in Jonah Jackson in a trade from the Rams. So they went out and attacked the weakness of the interior O-line. So I think they put all the pieces there to be. They also drafted Colston Loveland, who could be another weapon for Caleb Williams. And I think he's going to be very good in that offense, passing the ball. They'll find creative ways to get him involved, like Detroit did with their tight end. They also brought in Grady Jarrett, Dayo Adeyingbo in free agency, drafted Shamar Turner. Montez Sweat's still there. Gervin Dexter's been good. So that defense, they've invested in that defense. The defense was pretty good last year. It's just Caleb Williams needed to take a step. So if he can take
damn, look at that division they're in, though, man. You got the Lions, you got the Packers. They're still up and down, but the Vikings, man. Look, I almost was considering calling them playoff contenders, but just in that hard ass of their division, I think they're sleepers. If they were in a somewhat easy division, I would say they're playoff contenders, but I just don't see it with this tough division they're in, man. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think, and that's I definitely think Chop's working on trying to get his internet.
Back. He's back.
On, let me get the screen back up.
Damn internet. But we're on the Bears, which was the next team.
Fuckers upstairs are trying to run too many things at once and blew the breaker. All right. Let me get damn it.
So it's not like the internet was bad. Set.
Damn it.
You had a breaker reset.
No way. It's easy though. Hold on.
Damn technology.
Well, Greg took a picture, and we only had like 5. We were working on our 6 team, 7 team, which we're going to have to do these a little quicker, obviously. We're halfway through the
show. You guys probably aren't. Let me get back there and see what screen I'm on.
But, Greg, I'm kind of with you on the Bears. I think it's hard to say they're a playoff contender yet, but I do think we had that middle category for up-and-coming team. I think they're an up-and-coming team. They may still up-and-coming miss the playoffs. The only difference there, they're basically the same, finishing the same way, but one team you feel better about on the rise. And I think
you can't call them regressing because they're already regressed. They're trying to work their way from the bottom.
Well, we took that category out and made it miss playoffs.
Right, miss playoffs. You can't. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's basically the same thing, but I would put them in the middle, up and coming. They missed the playoffs.
Well,
but
I've been hearing
they're on the rise.
Well, I've been hearing a lot of good reports how Caleb Williams is more involved with his teammates and all that and stuff. Because wasn't that the knock on Caleb Williams, that he was a kind of to himself type of person or something?
Yeah, people thought he was a bit of a diva. He paints his nails or whatever. Just all this weird shit that, you know what I mean? Some people were like, yeah, Chop is too hot for the internet. Chop is just too sexy. That's what happened. He reset because he's too good looking.
Oh, yeah.
Chop, you missed Dustin's hot take. His hot take was the Chiefs missed the playoffs.
Yes. Hey, who knows?
I like that. Me and
All right, so Dale,
Dustin just became best friends.
Dale, do we have the Jags as sleepers? I forget.
That's what I was saying. I think that Dale was saying top 10 pick.
I said missed playoffs, I think.
Missed playoffs. So
yeah, I think we agree. We can do missed playoffs for them. But they're just because the only difference, what I was saying is they don't have their pick. So, like, you know, if they're on that fringe of a top 10 pick, they're going to keep playing their ass off because they don't have that pick anyways.
Yeah.
So they could squeak out and finish 11th or 12th. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only reason we'll put them in a one tier higher. And yeah, I'm still a little bullish, Dustin, on Caleb Williams. I liked him. I still had him over Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels had a better season. Not hard for me to admit that. And I went back and forth on those guys. I like both of them. But I still think Caleb Williams is going to be a really good quarterback. And I think, I didn't love their draft either. I thought they reached quite a bit. But I do like their offense and the weapons they have. And they've given really no excuses for Caleb Williams not to be better this year. And if he's not, then it's easy for me to be like, if he has a really bad season, to be like, I was wrong. But I want to see it now that they gave him a bunch of O-linemen. They've given him weapons at tight end. They've given him, it's Cole Kmet still there too. Like, they're loaded on weapons and a better offensive line. So no excuses, honestly.
So where do you got them?
We were saying they're up and coming. I don't think they're going to be a playoff contender yet because, as Greg said, that's a really good division they're in. So it's hard to say they're a real playoff contender in that division, but they're going to miss the – I thought that was our middle category.
Sleepers?
Dustin says he has
I can
sleepers. He says Rome is not the guy. His separation ability to get open last year was bad.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like, I'm not so sure either how great he's going to be there. Certainly didn't have
up and coming.
Yeah, like I said, if it wasn't for the tough division, I really would not complain if you wanted to put them in the. They could make the playoffs. I mean, they had, like you said, Dale. I forgot they added on to the defense and all that. I just don't see it because of the tough ass division they're in.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot for them.
Yeah, I changed our sleepers to up and coming.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's similar. It's just.
I mean, we didn't have anybody in the sleeper category anyway.
Yeah.
So Detroit. They took it. Well, no, they got hit with injuries last year. In all fairness, they got hit with injuries. They're a playoff. No, they're definitely a playoff team. There's no doubt. But are they a Super Bowl contending team now?
It would have been a yes for me.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of worried about center. Ragnow retiring.
Yeah,
and they have currently Tate Ratledge penciled in at center.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That's right.
I just don't know, and I'll be curious to see if that lasts. I could see someone else sliding in and playing center, and him moving back to one of the guard spots, probably right guard. Maybe Graham Glasgow is who they have at right guard. Maybe he slides into center. But they lost Zeitler, they lost Ragnow, and I'm still not the biggest believer in Jared Goff.
No.
So as close as they were, as good as they were, the defense very good also. And Aiden Hutchinson, how does he look coming back? That's a big question mark still.
Exactly. Well,
I'm going to say playoff contender just because of that.
I would agree, playoff contender. It's hard to root against the Lions, man. They got such a good squad every year. They're pumping it out year after year. But I'd say playoff contenders because when you think about the NFC, I just think that there's better teams right now.
Yeah, Dustin, I get what you're saying. I don't know if they would completely miss their window. If you mean the Super Bowl window, I could kind of see that right now. But they're still a playoff team. But I get what you're saying right there, Dustin.
And it was impressive what they did without Aiden Hutchinson last year.
Yes,
if they can get him back healthy, maybe that window's still open.
My God.
But I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big Goff guy. That's my problem.
No, Dale, Jared Goff, man. I mean, they had injuries last year, and you saw Goff with a lot of his weapons hurt and some of his guys hurt. He proved that he cannot do it on his own. You need to surround him with weapons.
Well, and then they took away his line, so
yeah. When you take away your line, well, look at Burrow. He never had a line, and he still found a way. But yeah,
all right, we'll move on. Move on to the Vikings, who have J.J. McCarthy this year. Sam Darnold took them to the playoffs last year. So as much as I'm not also a J.J. McCarthy guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the question mark. What do we think of J.J. McCarthy? If they had what's his name last year, Sam Darnold, I'd say this team's a playoff contender easily.
So would I.
I don't know though. With Delphine, what you talking about McCarthy? Up and coming is not really. Are they just still an up and coming team? I mean, I still think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't know, man. I mean, McCarthy is the question mark.
This is his first year, so they're going to still have to build that continuity. They didn't get into that last year. I feel like they missed the playoffs.
But Justin Jefferson's a phenomenal receiver. Yes. Jordan Addison is very good. Greg, can I talk, brother? Like every time I talk, you've interrupted me here these last 3 times.
Sorry, bud.
They added Donovan Jackson, Ryan Kelly, and Will Freeze on the interior O-line. I think that's very impressive. You know that they're beefing up that line. Brought back Aaron Jones at running back. The defense, they added Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, which was kind of a weakness. So I like the moves they made. That's moves that I was hoping we would make. You know, either of those guys. They got both of them. Man, it's tough. It's tough because I don't know about their secondary. That was a big problem last year was their corners. They brought in Isaiah Rodgers and Jeff Okudah. Okudah has not lived up to the hype. He's been a bust, and I'm a Buckeye fan. It's easy for me to say. So the secondary has issues for sure. I'm not a believer in J.J. McCarthy, but they made the playoffs last year. So this is a tough one for me. I would say they missed the playoffs, and I can't say up and coming because the reason they missed the playoffs is because I think it's almost regression. I know we don't have that category, but I just put them in missed the playoffs.
Here when we took away regression, we take away regression, and now we have a regressor. I agree with you 100%, Dale. I think that they would have had Greg, they would have had a better shot if they would have stuck with Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
but you have to go forward in the organization. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean also you just look at the division they're in. I think Green Bay's going to be good. Detroit we think will still be good, and Chicago's on the rise. That could steal a game or two from them.
Yeah.
So their own division is going to be really tough. So for that reason, they missed the playoffs. But we could look foolish on that because they were fantastic last year. But they never really felt like a real contender even last year.
Yeah. That's true. No. Last year it was like a surprise. Like, oh my God, look, they're still in the whole year. Even at the end of the year, it's like I can't believe the Vikings are doing so well.
All right, guys. Tampa Bay. Greg, kick us off with Tampa Bay.
Baker, as I'll keep saying, I like Baker Mayfield. I'm just so happy. I didn't like him at first at Cleveland, but they found a way to make me feel sorry for him, how they treated him there. And I'm just so happy to see him redoing himself in Cleveland. And as we talked about with the receivers they may have the best overall, behind the Bengals, they may best have the overall receiving core. And their defense, I don't know too much about their defense really that well. But, I mean, I still think they're a playoff contender. Not a Super Bowl contending team, but they're definitely a high playoff contending team in my opinion.
Well, on defense, they added Hassan Reddick, but we don't know what he is anymore.
Right.
I do like their interior D-line with Vita Vea and Elijah Cansey. I think that's one of their biggest strengths on defense is those guys. Logan Hall, a lot of people wanted him when he came out from Houston a few years ago, but he hasn't really done a lot. Yaya Diaby's been very good for them, though, as a pass rusher. Levante David, I mean, he's still there 15 years later, another ageless wonder. And then Antoine Whitfield Jr. at safety is a fantastic player. So their defense, I feel like it's hit or miss. Their defense is still going to give up some stuff. But that offense, like you mentioned, Greg, is really good. And they added Egbuka with Godwin, with Jalen McMillan, with Mike Evans. So it's pretty stacked. And Cade Otton was a good tight end for them last year, too. And Baker's playing his best football. And we're talking about continuity. They have the continuity that, like, a Minnesota doesn't. So, to me, they're a playoff contender.
And Bucky Irvin, I was not a big fan of him coming into the draft from reading your draft guide, but I think he's going to be up and coming. He had a great rookie season, I thought, last year. So add that on to it.
What are your thoughts, Chop?
I think they win their division. I think Atlanta's up and coming in that division, but I don't think Atlanta's got it just yet. And so I think they win their division again this year, and I put them as playoff contenders for sure.
I think that's a good spot for him. And Dustin asked, I think what Shanahan has done with Purdy, can the Vikings coach do the same with McCarthy? And just kind of, he doesn't have to be the man. You have a bunch of talent. I would say that I don't know if Aaron Jones is Christian McCaffrey, though, but they have Justin Jefferson, and I don't think Brandon Ayuk is not Justin Jefferson. So it's a good question. I do think McCarthy, he won national title with Michigan. It's not like that offense was fantastic either, but he got the job done. He's a winner. He's won everywhere he's went. So I do think it's possible they can win with him for sure. He doesn't have to be like a 300-yard per game quarterback, but a game manager type. Those are still very valuable if you're not turning the ball over. So that's a good point, Dustin.
Yeah.
Next, we do have those 49ers who have Brock Purdy, and they have him for the long term because they signed him to an extension. Brock Purdy makes about as much money as Joe Burrow, right?
I know. Crazy.
What a world, man. What a world. They have Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk. They traded away Debo to Washington. McCaffrey's back. Can he stay healthy? Still his biggest question. Always been his biggest question. Kittle's still there. Their line's decent, but Trent Williams is not getting any younger anytime soon. Colton McKivitz played pretty well at right tackle. Pooney, obviously, at right guard. Still hurts me because the Bengals could have drafted him.
Right.
And then the defense, they brought in Mykel Williams. I heard he's already hurt. I was happy when they picked Mykel Williams because I didn't want the Bengals to take him. But they also recently traded for Bryce Huff. I think that's an underrated move out from Philly. They've got Fred Warner back. I don't know, man. It's tough because in the NFC, I feel like they could be a playoff contender. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the 49ers? This is one I really don't know, personally, where to put them.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Well, I was just going to say, what year – I was looking it up. What year did Christian McCaffrey get drafted?
Gosh, I don't remember.
2017. That was the year we drafted Mixon and John Ross.
That's 8 years, man. This man's been in the league 8 years, running his ass off, just been drilling people for 8 years. And last year he had a season-ending injury. I'm a little suspect on what's going to go on with him, but I don't want to definitely be like Christian McCaffrey's not going to be Christian McCaffrey because he's probably going to be Christian McCaffrey.
Right. When he's healthy, he's amazing.
I would put the 49ers probably with playoff contenders.
Would you agree, Greg?
Yeah, and look, you could argue that's still the most talented team in the NFL, and Purdy, I still think he's barely above average, which is not bad. Obviously, I know they lost Debo, but Debo obviously wasn't happy. He really wasn't getting the ball too much, I don't think. So, and McCaffrey, like Chad was talking about McCaffrey, you just don't know. Is he going to be fragile? Is he going to be – but when he's healthy – oh my God, dude! But
he's going to make or break that team.
But all right, look at the other teams in the division: the Rams, the Cardinals, and the other team, the Seahawks. I know they got what's his name? They got Darnold as a quarterback, but I'm sorry, I still think easily the Niners are at the top of their division. So yes, they're. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders, but they're playoff contenders easily.
We don't think anyone's Super Bowl contenders, apparently.
No. If the Bengals can't be, nobody can be. We'll find flaws in all of them. Do you think they're Super Bowl contenders, Dale?
No, 49 playoff contenders. Could they be in the NFC? I do think they could if everything goes right for them. McCaffrey's healthy mainly. Right. I do think in the NFC they could be Super Bowl contenders. But the injury history for McCaffrey, I would just be cautious and put them in playoff contenders.
I feel like the Rams are really good competition with the 49ers, and they could win that division too. But I agree with Arizona and Seattle.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much.
Next, we have the Falcons. And we don't even know who's going to be their quarterback, right? Is it going to be Cousins? Is it going to be Penix? I have no idea who's starting there. Drake London's pretty good. Outside of him, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod don't really scare me. The line's decent. They've kind of, had the same line or most of it for quite a while with McGarry and Lindstrom and those guys. Kyle Pitts seems like now he's constantly on the trade block or trade rumors out there about him. Bijan's a stud. Bijan Robinson at running back. So I think that's a big part. No matter who's the quarterback, he's going to do quite a bit. The defense, they added Jalen Walker, Leonard Floyd, Jordan Fuller. Nothing super splashy there that they've added. I don't know, man. I think they still miss the playoffs. I
feel
just
like
don't
they're
believe in them as much as some people do.
No, I thought last year was their chance. Jesse Bates, I don't know. John, go ahead. You go first, buddy.
I feel like they're up and coming. I feel like Penix didn't do too bad when they put him in last year. I think he's going to be the starter. I feel like they're up and coming. Like I said, I feel like the biggest competition for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the Atlanta Falcons, and I think the Atlanta Falcons could take them over. So I feel like they're up and coming.
Yeah, I just don't.
I don't have an issue with that.
No. That's fine. I still think they're up and coming, but I mean, I don't know. Clock's ticking with Bates. He's like, on the third year with his contract and all that. Dustin here says they may ask him to take I don't think they're going to ask that Bates. How could you tell your top safety to take a pay cut? But
the top safety, not theirs. The
top safety. Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I don't know, man. No. I think they're up and coming. They're definitely not playoff contender, but yes, like you said, Chop, that would be the team that would challenge the Buccaneers, because Saints, hell no, and Panthers, hell no, also. So yes, they're up and coming. I agree with that.
Yeah, Saints
Up and coming, and also they got Pierce too. So like that was a big weakness pass rush, and Jalen Walker and James Pierce can be decent. That's up and coming for that entire prospects of that entire team, because that's been a huge weakness, is getting to the quarterback on from defense. They added two guys with that potential. So up and coming is a good spot for them for sure. The Ravens, hey, I'm sorry, everybody. To me, the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender. And I know you can say, well, what have they done in the playoffs? Every year they piss down their leg in the playoffs. I get it. I just think they're ultra talented. They've invested in spots like the secondary that they needed to invest in as one of their big weaknesses. The offense is dynamic. I would say Super Bowl contender, but I'm probably going to be on an island here.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Well, you're on an island with me, though, and I'm not on your island. You're just on an island because they fucking can't. Why this year? Yeah, playoff contenders every fucking year, playoff contenders. But why is this year? What the fuck did they do this year? Mike Green? Is that what fucking pushing them over the edge to make them Super Bowl contenders? These guys get to the playoffs.
Malachi Starks.
Playoffs, and that's it. They load up every fucking year, and every year they go to the playoffs, and that's fucking it. I
like the Jair Alexander. Sorry, Chop. Sorry.
I mean, if you're asking me, yeah, they're fucking scared. That's why they got Jair Alexander. They're fucking scared, and they should be scared, because the fucking Triple Crown winner and the best quarterback in the NFL is in their division, and then T. Higgins, who is also a number one receiver on any other team, is in the mix. And you got Mike Gesicki. So, I mean, if you're asking me if the Baltimore Ravens beat the Cincinnati Bengals this year, their record, fuck no. So how can I put the Baltimore Ravens above the Cincinnati Bengals? Bengals have a better record this year. Bengals beat Baltimore this year. The Ravens
Fine, Chop. Put the Bengals in Super Bowl contender. I'm tired of hearing it.
No.
Put them up there.
I'll speak up on this, Chop. You know what, Chop? I was getting ready to say the roster's loaded, but you're right, Chop. I think you and I discussed this, because you said I don't think they trust Lamar, because they see how Lamar struggles in the playoffs. I mean, if I had Reggie Miller right now, this is what Reggie Miller would be doing to him right now every time he gets near the AFC Championship. You're right about that. I'm going to put – here's what I'm going to call a draw. They're at the very, very top of playoff contender. Dale, I get what you're saying, but like Chop pointed out, they always choke in near the championship game.
I mean, last year they got Derrick Henry. We're all like, oh, fuck. And Derrick Henry did great. And guess what? No Super Bowl.
Well, if he gets 2,000 yards this year, he'll be in an Adam Sandler movie. So he's going to really be trying hard.
Hey, there you go. Is that a thing?
Yeah. He loves Adam Sandler. And Dan Patrick called Adam Sandler, and he's like, I'll get you in a movie if you rush for 2,000. And Adam Sandler was like, yeah. That's a real thing.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you can put the Ravens at the top of playoff contenders, and you can put the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders, because I don't want everyone to hate me. Just put the Bengals as Super Bowl contenders.
Is that what the Brew Crew's saying too?
Yeah.
I'd have to go back up when it was discussed at one point, but I think some did say yes.
And the Cowboys. Woof, this is a hard one. Are they a playoff contender in the NFC? I mean, George Pickens is good, and they needed a receiver with CeeDee Lamb. Dak hasn't been able to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, it's a good team.
Bro, they're missing the playoffs. Their best chance is a wild card. You got the Eagles and the Commanders in that division.
That's true.
So they're not. If they get into the playoffs, it's like they get one of the wild card spots, and they're going to get the other wild card spot is there's going to be if the Cowboys get a wild card spot in the playoffs, there's going to be 3 teams from that division in the playoffs. They're the third best team in that division.
Yeah. No, I was going to say they have an opportunity, but CeeDee Lamb, he's never really had drama, but I think he's had drama here and there. But you get Mickens with him, that could be one of the best duos in the league, or that could just be trouble right there. And Cowboys just find ways to cause drama, period, with Jerry Jones. And Chop, like you just pointed out, with Washington and Philadelphia, they'd be lucky to make the playoffs. And they're definitely not an up-and-coming team. They've had plenty of chances, in my opinion. I think they missed the playoffs, man.
That'd be sad.
Yeah, I think that's
sad for them.
I can't really argue it because I was kind of up in the air. You just don't know what you're going to get game to game, year to year from the Cowboys. Yep. So I think as of now, we say miss the playoffs. Prove it.
It's terrible too, but like this team, they could like literally be like in the Super Bowl with the Bengals and still be a dumpster fire somehow.
Yep.
It's weird to say miss the playoffs. I don't know what else we'd need besides up and coming, something in between there, but I don't know.
The Colts. Daniel Jones is where they're putting their hopes at, him or Anthony Richardson, who has not lived up to being the high pick that he was. They did add Tyler Warren, who I really like at tight end. They got Pittman, Pierce, Downs at receiver. The line could be decent. The defense, DeForest Buckner, Latu, does he take a step in his second season? They got Kwity Paye. Grover Stewart's a good run defender. Travarius Ward, is the guy they brought into the secondary along with Cam Bynum. And they brought in Lou to be their defense coordinator. I think Lou will be, coaching at his best. I think the defense will be better, but I still think they missed the playoffs personally. I don't trust their quarterbacks.
I feel like top 10 pick.
I'm right there with you, Chop, top 10 pick. I just don't see it.
I mean, I don't have as big of an explanation as Dale, though.
Well, I mean,
he studies more.
Well, like I say, let's say the receivers are okay. I thought Anthony Richardson, the guy just can't stay healthy, but Daniel Jones, your quarterback, man, this team is a top 10 pick for next year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Both quarterbacks are trash.
That's some things Lou gets exposed this year. That's his take on the Colts. And if that's the case, if the defense isn't better, they don't just miss the playoffs. They are top 10, as you guys are kind of saying. So I'll go with the top 10 pick, and that might be best for their franchise because they may need to take another swing at a quarterback.
That's right. Honestly. They might get Nussmeier.
Yep.
And that would easily put them up next year when we do this to Super Bowl contenders, Dale.
That's why I think I think they may even try on purpose to get a quarterback in the top 10. Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
All right, so we got the Rams next. They brought in Devontae Adams to pair with Puka Nacua. Matt Stafford's still there. Poona Ford, they brought in a guy that we've been hoping the Bengals would get on defense.
Yeah.
Fiske, they've got good pass rushers. Jared Verse had a fantastic rookie season.
Yes, he did.
They're a playoff contender. I can't say Super Bowl yet for them either. And I know some people love Stafford. I think he's good, but he's not getting any younger. I think playoffs is probably their ceiling. I don't see them really making a run to the Super Bowl this year.
I agree with you 100%. And I was just going to say that, like, from what I said earlier about San Francisco being in like big contenders with the Rams, you have to put them both up there. Yeah, I mean, from what I said.
Yeah, and then like I said, I said earlier, the Niners number 1. I think it's going to come Seahawks and Rams. That's going to be close number 2. I think Arizona's going to be dead last. But like I say, I feel like Devontae Adams, he's at the end of his career. Stafford, you don't know what you're going to get with him. It's going to be close. But look, Jared Verse and Fiske both balled out big time last year, kind of revamped the D-line. So I think, right where you have it is playoff contender. I think it's going to be close, yes.
And then we have the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert, man, you can't say Super Bowl contender because they haven't won in the playoffs. I do think Harbaugh is going to run the ball more. They have Hampton and Najee Harris. That's the running backs that he wants, and they've done a great job building that line. Mekhi Becton they brought in. They drafted Joe Alt last year. Rashawn Slater is a fantastic left tackle. I like their line. I like the way they can run the ball behind that line. I think they're going to be really good. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders,
they're up
but I
and
think they're
coming?
playoff contenders.
I mean, they got a new head coach and all that stuff. Do you think they're up and coming, or do you think they're automatically playoff contenders?
Well, they were in the playoffs last year, right? So I just think they're kind of still in the same spot, but they could be a touch better because of the run game. I think Hampton's a really good running back.
Yeah. No. No. Herbert, is he a guy that could get you to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I think he is. But like you say, you need to have a bit more of a team around him than you do with Burrow and all that and stuff. You know what? There's just something about that team, man. I know Herbert puts up the numbers. I think they're going to miss the playoffs.
Well, let me say this. Let me go back to the Brew Crew. Dustin says, hot take, the Chiefs don't make the playoffs this year. So if that's the hot take that the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, then the Chargers win that division, in my opinion. I think Geno Smith doesn't really move the needle.
Well,
or Denver. You're right. That division is coming up. I forgot about Denver.
Yeah.
I still do think maybe the Chargers are still like going into the season, they feel like playoff contenders. They're always doing just enough to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And if the Chiefs take a hit for it, and if the Chiefs regress at all, that just automatically moves the Chargers forward because they haven't regressed. So are we going playoff contenders, or where are we going?
Yeah, I think that's
I don't care. You guys put them where you want. I mean, like, maybe I'm being a little harsh saying missed playoffs, man. I just don't know. Herbert just doesn't. I mean, then again, he had a crappy coach that took way too many chances on fourth down that cost them games. So I think it was the coaching that really cost them. But still, man,
I don't disagree with you, Greg. Especially when I don't know how I forgot about Denver when I was thinking about their division. I was thinking about the Raiders and how they got Geno Stone and they could do better. But yeah, the Broncos, man, that team's coming up.
They are.
They're up and coming, but we'll get to them shortly.
We got the Raiders next. I don't want to spend a ton of time on the Raiders. I don't know about Geno Stone. I obviously like Brock Bowers was fantastic, and Ashton Genty I think will be very good. So there's a world where they're up and comers. You know, Pete Carroll is the coach. He's like 80 years old. I just don't know. He's been away from the game a little bit. I'm going to say top 10 pick for them. And it's another team that, honestly, a top 10 pick wouldn't be a bad thing next year because they could use a quarterback.
That's a fact.
I'll say this. Geno Smith, you always love those quarterbacks that were down. You thought they were at the end of their careers. Then they got back up, and, Pete Carroll gave them that shot. I will say this. I mean, I know he's got Brock Bowers. Now his receivers are crap. He's got Genty. But I think, I don't know, top 10. I think they're somewhat up and coming. I really, really do. I think he can revamp. I think Geno's, because their quarterbacks were crap last year, period. But I think I don't know. I think they're up and coming. I'm not saying plus, but I think they're up. Oh, they're not. I think they're up and coming. I personally would put them in up and coming. That's just me personally.
I think they're probably a year away from that, and maybe a young quarterback away. That's why I just say I think top 10, I do think, Greg, I think they're closer to being in that up and coming category with if it translates and then
if they just have one decent receiver to go along with Bowers, I'd say they're up and coming personally.
Right.
I would say that top 10 pick means there's got to be 10 teams down there. So you got to take the 10 teams that you think are going to be the worst, and I think the Raiders are in that 10.
That's fine. Yeah,
that's the only thing. But I totally agree with you, Greg, except for that Ashton Genty has to prove it to me in the NFL. And and then, I mean, Geno Smith, like, whatever. He's man, right? But he definitely improves the team over the plumber.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
so are we putting them in top 10?
Yeah. Let's put them in top 10 for now, but with the understanding we think they could be better than expected. Like, they could be. There's a realistic shot they could be. Next is Washington. They added Debo Samuel, and honestly, their big addition, Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. That's huge, man. He's a great left tackle.
Yeah.
Defense, Javon Kinlaw, don't really much care for that. Can Jerzon Newton, can he be a lot better this year? They still have Deron Payne. Bobby Wagner was a great addition, even though he's an older guy. He was fantastic, and he's back. Marshawn Lattimore, he get back to some of the flashes he had before because he was injured after they traded for him last year. Didn't really do much. But their secondary still has some questions. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but I think they're definitely a playoff contender still.
I'd say I agree with you 100%, Dale. Like, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I would love, because that's my boy, Jaden Daniels, to put him up in Super Bowl contenders. And they went last year, they played in the NFC Championship against the Eagles. But sophomore slump is real. So there's no way that I'm going to just shove them up into Super Bowl contenders. But I do feel like in the NFC, that is one of the best 4 teams in the NFC. So I would go with playoff contenders also.
Chop,
Yeah, it's kind of tough, the NFC. I was just going to say we got all those teams like Detroit, San Francisco, LA. I do think they could make the Super Bowl, but
Sure.
I think just like Washington, right? It's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, no, Chop. If I had to pick a tip, but I get what you're saying, sophomore slump, because you know what, man, I don't want to compare Jaden Daniels to what's his name for the Texans, but I honestly don't think that's going to happen, bud, because Jaden Daniels, man, he showed that when I watched that Lions game. I know Lions had guys that were hurt, but I was at Detroit. The calmness he showed in the pocket, man, when he had guys around him, and Daniels is a little guy. I mean, the composure he had. You don't see that in a rookie. Usually rookie quarterbacks are scared, run around all over the place, make horrible decisions. I'm not trying to jinx, Chop. I swear. No, I'm not. I'm just being honest. I think they're Super Bowl contenders. And you know what like Dale said, they added in free agency. They added, unlike what the Bengals kind of did, they added a lot of players in free agency. I think they are Super Bowl contenders. I honestly think they are.
I think they're fringe. I think that,
yeah,
I agree, but I just think that, just show it to me. Like, I did feel like CJ Stroud the next year was going to take a big jump forward. I thought he was going to break that whole Ohio State quarterback curse that I always talk about. So I don't.
Chop, do you have to work?
Happen to Jaden Daniels.
Chop, do you have to work?
Nope.
Do you have to work? Okay.
Nope.
I was going to say, we're on to speed round this if you got to work.
Nope.
Well, I say playoff contenders, but you could put them high up there by the Ravens or something.
That's fine.
Sure.
That they're right there. I think a lot of the NFC teams could be right there, honestly.
And I really haven't put
this,
any of these in order on the different lines. If anybody has a way
fine.
If they want them switched around, I really haven't put them in any particular order.
Yeah, which is fine.
Except
the
for
Saints
the Bengals
are next. I don't believe in Tyler Shuck personally, and Derek Carr retiring, Olave's concussion history, a top 10 pick, man. There's nowhere else I think they could go right now.
No, Dale, they're going to be that's my favorite for the first pick next year, easily.
Give Doug Nussmeier his son.
There you go, man.
So offense coordinator for the Saints. Yeah.
Talk about something special. That would be special, right? If he stays and then they draft Nussmeier to be coached by your own dad.
Yeah.
In the NFL. Weird, I'm sure he's been coached by his dad before.
Next, we have the Giants. Man, I don't know. Russell Wilson, Jameis Wilson, Jackson Dart. Who's the quarterback? Man, I like Neighbors. Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't know. Tyrone Tracy in his second season. The line's okay. I do think the defense was fantastic last year.
Yeah.
And the defense is going to be really good again. Brian Burns, they added Abdul Carter with Brian Burns and Sexy Dexter Lawrence, who's fantastic. They're pretty stacked. Kayvon Thibodeau's still there, rushing the passer. The defense is why they could be good. They brought in Javon Holland at safety as a free agent, Paulson Adebo at corner. They got Deontay Banks, Tyler Newbin, Drew Phillips. they feel like an up-and-coming team to me. Just as it's mainly because of the defense.
Yep. You're talking me into it. You know I love Neighbors. That's my boy. And then I don't know if Dart's the guy, then yeah, and I agree with the up-and-coming, though. I think they missed the playoffs, but I think they missed the playoffs in an up-and-coming fashion.
Yeah, the problem is
the up-and-coming team still miss the playoffs.
Sure,
to be fair,
the
Falcons, the Giants, or the Bears. I mean, go ahead, Greg.
Dale, I was ready to say top 10, but what you said, absolutely. But the problem is, like Chop, you just pointed out earlier. Well, Dallas, not Dallas, but man, Washington, Philadelphia. The Giants are a sneaky team right there, man. I just don't. Are the Giants good enough to get past the Cowboys? Maybe.
I think their defense.
I just think it's that division that's going to keep them not in the top 10 pick, but they'll miss the playoffs. I think they are up and coming, but like Dale, like how you compared one team, the Raiders, they're like an up and coming team next year. That's what I would look at the Giants as an up and coming team next year, but they missed the playoffs.
The only difference for me why I say up and coming now is I feel like Jackson Dart could at least be that quarterback that they're more up and coming now. And we don't even know if he'll play, right? But whereas the Raiders, to me, don't have that quarterback on their roster. Because I don't think it's Geno Smith as an up-and-comer. You know what I mean? I think of a young guy as an up-and-comer to go with Neighbors. I think Jackson Dart could be that. But it is. It's a fine line between a top 10 pick for the Giants or an up-and-coming team that's close to the playoffs. And it's mainly because of their defense. Their defense should be fantastic this year.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
What does the Brew Crew say?
Dave here says Giants are better than Cowboys, but not as good as Philly Commanders. Yeah, Dave, I don't know about that yet. I'm not ready to say that yet, but it could happen, though.
A couple people said miss playoffs. A couple people said miss playoffs, Chop, and Justin says his hot take is the Giants are the best D-line in football, and like he thinks they could surprise people. So he's kind of similar with us as the up and coming. So
yeah,
buddy.
I think up and coming, but miss playoffs. It's similar. It's similar territory.
Yeah, they're definitely missing the playoff.
Matt Walker says up and coming. Matt Walker says up and coming. Chop.
There you go. They're up and coming.
Just saying.
Here we go.
The Eagles, Super Bowl contenders. They just won the Super Bowl, right? And they're so well ran. The organization's so well ran. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, fantastic offensive line, a pretty solid defense most of the time. Yeah, they're replacing a couple pieces, but they're fantastic at drafting and replacing guys and getting young talent under contract. Easily a Super Bowl contender for me.
And they got my guy this year in the first round. Watch, that fucking defense just got way better with Jihad Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue.
Their defense is so young, though. When they have to pay all those guys, but they got a window, man, for the next couple years.
Now the Steelers. See, it's tough because they're always over 500, so it's kind of they're always in the playoff race. But I say miss playoffs. I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers anymore.
This is it. Hot take, man. This is the first year Mike Tomlin has a losing season.
And they have DK Metcalf. Sure, that's great. But you got rid of Pickens. You don't really have a receiver 2 or 3. And Jalen Warren at running back, he's okay. Caleb Johnson from Iowa, he's okay. But I do think the O-line is going to be pretty good because they've invested in it. Troy Fautanu, Zach Mason McCormick. These are all Broderick Jones, all very young guys. Plus Isaac Siamola that they got from Philly 2 years ago. I think their offensive line they've kind of turned that from a weakness to probably a strength. And that may be what helps them get to 500, Chop. But I'm with you. Yeah. He could be under 500. I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. I just don't. I'm going to say they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, no, they'll win 8 games. They'll win 7 or 8 games. They'll barely miss they'll miss the playoffs. And if they do, Chop, like I think you and I talked one time at the Reds game, if they do make the playoffs, they're going to freaking get their asses kicked.
Yeah. Also, I hope they make the playoffs because quarterback hell once again.
Yep.
I think they can keep their asses in quarterback purgatory forever.
Defense still going to be good, assuming TJ Watt, there's nothing crazy that happens and he gets traded. But Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Derek Harmon, Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith. They brought in Darius Slay. Still have Minka. The defense is going to be good. But I have serious questions about the offense overall. Beyond, I do like their young offensive line. So we got them missing the playoffs. Go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say T.J. Watt being at the table might be why the Bengals reached out and started just saying hi to Trey again. Who knows? Because T.J. Watt's going to get a bag, and so is Micah Parsons. So I know we're not talking too much about Trey, but these are two players that aren't going to help the Bengals with their negotiations if they don't hurry up.
Yeah. Denver in the playoffs last year. Honestly, I'm not a big believer in Bo Nix, and he was pretty good. I still think he's a check down merchant, this, that, and the other, but Sean Payton is a great head coach, a great offensive coach, a great quarterback coach, and he knows how to get the best out of Bo Nix, to me. And Bo Nix he has a strong arm. They just don't throw the ball deep a lot. Cortland there, Pat Bryant, they drafted. I don't know about their receivers. The O-line's always been very good. They have one of the better O-lines. They brought in R.J. Harvey in the draft at running back and brought in J.K. Dobbins. Can Dobbins stay healthy? Because that's a good addition if he can stay healthy, a little more explosive there. Defense was pretty good, and they added Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga from San Francisco at safety. So I don't know, man. I think they also had John Barron, and that secondary scope with Pat Surtain, Riley Moss. Now you add Barron into the mix. I mean, I think that's a strength. I think they're a playoff contender. Hard for me to say otherwise.
I agree. I mean, even though the Bengals torched both Moss and Surtain last year, they're still one of the best. I mean, I think the Ravens have the best defensive backfield, period. But, man, Denver's right up there with them, man. I mean, with those additions. And like you said, Bo Nix, he's got a good QB coach and what's his name to help him out right there. So, yeah, do I think he could take them to the top? Probably not. But they're good enough to make the playoffs. But definitely not Super Bowl contenders, but I think they will make the playoffs. They're still up and coming and making the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like that they're up and coming. I feel like last year was Bo Nix, surprise, look at us. And so this year they're still up and coming. I think they're still climbing the ladder to be playoff contenders, but I can definitely see them making the playoffs.
I'm fine with putting them at the top of up and coming. Like this, they may be the up and coming team that is a fringe playoff team. You know what I mean? Where the other ones are up and coming teams that are missing the playoffs. So that's why we'll say they're at the top of it. That's fine.
I do agree with that secondary though, man. That's scary secondary.
Yeah, for sure. Move on to the Packers. Jordan Love. He's been pretty good. He's injured last year a little bit. They got a decent line. They added Matthew Golden in the draft. The defense, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt. Lucas Van Ness hasn't really been the player I thought he would, but we'll see if he has a good season. Xavier McKinney was good at safety for them the year before. I don't know. I do think they're a fringe playoff team, but I'm not completely sold on the Packers being in the playoffs this year. Am I crazy?
No. I'm with you, Dale. Like, when you look at the other teams, like, first of all, Detroit has got that division, right? And then the rest of them are just, like, in the mix for it. Like, they all have the potential to be the second best team in that division. But who the fuck is the second best team in that division?
It's kind of like Minnesota, right? Like, I know that all these teams made playoffs last year, but I still feel like Minnesota and Green Bay aren't, like, automatic playoff contenders. I think they could be in that mix, but they're just I don't fully believe in either of those teams.
Green Bay can easily finish fourth in the division. That would not surprise me because the Bears got better. I know the Lions, they lost some coaches here and there, but they're still good. In the Minnesota, in Minnesota, like I say, McCarthy's the only mystery right there. I could easily see the Packers finishing last in the division. I honestly could see that happening.
It's weird to say that.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're all on the same page with it, so that's where we're putting it. And, hey, we're wrong, Green Bay fans. I hope you come on and tell us to fuck off.
Right.
Buddy Newt, sorry, Newt. I know you're a Packers fan. I'm sorry. It's just my personal feeling. I think you guys can miss playoffs this year. You can tell me to eat shit later when you guys are in the playoffs, and it's fine.
Bengals play the Packers in Green Bay this year. Trash.
Yeah, I think Panthers are a top 10 pick. Like Bryce Young showed some flashes that he maybe isn't a complete bust last year. So hopefully he can build on that, continue to be a good player. Another shot, they're probably drafting a quarterback, honestly, instead of paying him if they're drafting there.
Yeah.
They did invest in the D-line, Bobby Brown, Tarshawn Wharton, and Derek Brown should be back off of injury, so that could be an improvement. And Trayvon Moehrig at safety they added as well. So they could be a little better, but I still don't believe in them. I do like Ted McMillan. I like that pick for them at receiver. Need a go-to guy. I think Xavier Leggette's better as a 2 or 3. Adam Thielen's still there. The line's pretty good. Their O-line is probably the best part of the team, to be honest. But I still got to say top 10 pick.
I agree. I mean, unless Andy Dalton takes them to the playoffs, right?
I agree too.
Right. All right, so we're all in agreement that they're top 10. Now the Chiefs, some people are wanting to say miss playoffs. It's hard for me to put them in the category of missing the playoffs.
Right.
I don't want to put them as Super Bowl contender at least, and they almost won it 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but if they're regressing, I would be okay just putting them in playoff contender and not Super Bowl contender.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
they're playoff contender. Let's hold the brakes here. The Chiefs, they still have the refs on their side for some. So I mean, let's put the brakes on here a little bit. Did they lose Super Bowl? Sure, but I'm not ready to say they're regressing just yet, though. They're still a playoff contending team.
I do feel like they regressed
okay.
a little bit, but still Super Bowl contenders. As much as it pained me, my finger hurt so bad holding that mouse to drag them up there, but still. I mean, you have to, right? It's the goddamn Patriots.
I want it on record that I did not have the Chiefs as a Super Bowl contender. But they do make it to the Super Bowl like every year, Chop. So I'm with you.
I'm not sure they make it this year, but they're still going to be Super Bowl contenders. I mean, we can put them at the top of what's the Brew Crew say? We can put them at the top of playoff contenders.
Last comment was Wade saying Carolina's a top 10 pick.
He was right.
Yeah,
which is right. Yeah.
I mean, I'll move them down here for a minute.
I think it's one of those things. No, I think it's one of those things, right? They're a Super Bowl contender until they're not in the Super Bowl. And now they've been in the Super Bowl every year.
No, that's fair.
Out of respect, they stay in it because they shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl last year. The last 2 years, honestly, they won one of them.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, they do feel like they're regressing. They do. They just haven't looked that good, but yet they win. It's the refs, Greg. You're right.
Yeah, that's true. Their best fucking players, Rod Torbert, whatever the fuck his name is.
Best player is
Ron
in the
Torbert or whatever.
Yep. Whatever.
Arizona. I know Dustin's got them as up and coming, but brother, you gotta believe in Kyler Murray more than me. I'm still not sold on Kyler Murray and just staying healthy. Like, I don't know if Kyler Murray's that guy. I do think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be pretty good this year. So that part helps. The defense, they did bring back Calais Campbell, who's been there before, Dalvin Tomlinson. They got our guy, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Baron Browning, Josh Sweat they added. So their defense could be a reason that they have a shot to make the playoffs. The defense on paper, the defense looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Pass rush wise, and that was a big weakness. But I still don't know that they got the offense to really make the playoffs. So to me, I would put them in missed playoffs. I don't think they're necessarily a top 10 pick team. I don't know that they're up and coming because I don't believe in Kyler Murray. So for me personally, I say they missed the playoffs. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, no, I just don't see it, Dale. I totally agree with you. Kyler Murray, I mean, let's be honest, guys. He has had so many chances. I mean, like what? So Kyler Murray, he was drafted in 2018, I believe. So this is his 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This is like his sixth chance, man. I mean, how many more chances can you get? Seriously. I'm saying, like Dustin, I get what you're saying. They probably have some other players, but or less on your quarterback. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. Like you said, Dale, with them staying healthy, I have no problem putting this team in the top 10 pick.
I feel like if the NFL didn't stand for National Football League and it stood for Call of Duty, maybe they'd be playoff contenders.
Yes.
But until then, they're missing the playoffs because Kyler Murray is better at the video games and practices more at the video games than he practices at his job.
Yep.
I agree, Dale, with you. Like, this team is going to go with – like, you can't have a quarterback like Kyler Murray and make the playoffs every year. And he hasn't made them yet, has
because
he?
The other guy that mentions Walter Nolan on that defense, I do think the defense could be much improved, which they needed, but I just don't trust Kyler Murray still.
Having Walter Nolan on that defense is like Trey Henderson on our defense. You know what I'm saying? You got one guy that can pass the rusher, and the rest of the defense is suspect.
That's why
they added Josh Sweat. They added Josh Sweat from the Eagles, who's really good, and they also brought in Calais Campbell, the ageless wonder. He can get after.
That's right. He'll have a good year for sure.
Yeah, but like I say, I would not surprise me though if they went in the top 10. You guys have them right where it is, missed the playoffs, but it would not surprise me if they're in the top 10.
I hear you. Yeah, they picked 16th this past year, so they were better than people thought last year. We would have thought top 10 last year. So
yeah,
I'm gonna keep them in that range for now, but we'll see.
It's like Dave points out, they're not. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You said okay.
They will not make it past the Niners, Rams, or Seahawks. Go ahead, Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's the biggest reason I can't put them in a playoff contender because I think Rams and Niners and potentially even the Seahawks are better. I don't know Seahawks personally. I think they could have a pretty bad year. Yeah. But, so Tua, Tyreek Hill, does he even want to be there? You never know. Jalen Waddle, Devin A. They've got some good offensive weapons for the Dolphins, but I mean, they missed the playoffs last year. They were in contention kind of like us, but I don't feel like they're getting better. And I still obviously don't trust Tua. So I'm going to say miss playoffs for the Dolphins personally.
I mean, I put them up there because I agree with you, Dale, that I don't necessarily think they're bad enough for a top 10 pick, but they definitely are going to be anywhere near sniffing the playoffs.
Window's closed. They had their window, and it's closed.
Yeah. And Jalen Ramsey supposedly wants out, so he might not even be there, when the season starts. There's a lot going on there. Buffalo, I know. Crip, I know. I love Glenn Berry, my boyfriend's favorite team. You were saying in the chat, in the comments.
Love you.
I do think they're a Super Bowl contender. I just do. I think Josh Allen is that good. He's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
I agree with that. I think this is their last chance, though. The window is slowly closing, but I think this is Buffalo's last chance, to be quite honest with you. For the time.
Who did they get in their first round pick? I can't remember. Somebody good. Someone I wanted.
Was it Eamon Warry? No.
Well, they got Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback from Kentucky.
Oh, they did get he's a good cornerback if he can stay healthy, and that'll definitely help him. But I agree with them being Super Bowl contenders every year, and it falls that whole thing about the quarterback play, man. Josh Allen is a really good fucking quarterback. He's like
and their defense.
Yes.
What they added on defense, they added Joey Bosa. Now, I know some of these guys are out for 6 weeks for steroids. Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hope, whatever. I like both of those guys. They're both out for 6 weeks, but they should be back in a playoff run. They also added TJ Sanders. So, they have, a full rotation of bodies on that defensive line, which was something that they needed to improve. Ed Oliver's been good, but they needed more guys there. So, I do think their D-line could be better. I still worry about their receivers a little bit. Like Keon Coleman going to take a step? I don't know. Khalil Shakir. They brought in Josh Palmer, more of a deep threat guy. It is tough. Maybe the window is closing on them. It's kind of now or never. We'll put them in Super Bowl contenders, but honestly, they should have made it there last year. Last year might have been their year. Might have blown it. I can agree with that, but I'll keep them up there for now. Seahawks are next. What do you guys think about the Seahawks? They suck, right? Sam Darnold.
Right.
Go ahead, Chop.
I don't know. Seahawks. They're starting all over this year. They're going to miss the top 10 pick.
I think they'll miss the playoffs. I don't know about top 10 pick, but it'll be close. Yeah.
This is where Emmanuel went too. So the safety play there is going to be on point.
New Legion of Boom coming up again. I like to hear that. Yeah. I don't know. Sam Darnold, he's proven he can do it, but I mean, the division, it's going to be Niners number one. It's going to be neck and neck with them and the Rams. I believe that's what it's going to come down to. But I can't say contenders. I think they'll miss the playoffs.
I'm with you on miss the playoffs. I think they got enough talent on defense to not be a top 10 pick because, like you mentioned, Eamon Wari, Chop, but they also Spoon they've had for a couple years, Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Julian Love. The secondary is pretty good. And then Byron Murphy. Remember, that was a guy we wanted out of Texas 2 years ago. Leonard Williams is still there, Jerron Reed. And they brought in DeMarcus Lawrence from Dallas. So I think their defense keeps them out of a top 10 pick. But I got them missing the playoffs because I think San Francisco and LA will be the better teams in that division.
Yeah.
And honestly, we should probably bump up. We should probably bump up some Super Bowl contenders for the NFC. We have one.
I know.
Who do you guys think out of
Washington.
Chop says it's Washington and doesn't even.
Yeah, right up
All right.
bat.
We bumped one up and
No, I have
Washington and Chop
Washington
gets to be happy. That's
I
fine.
have Washington as a Super Bowl contender. Right?
I mean, I can switch
honestly
it
feel
around.
like no. It's fine. I think that's the good one to put up there. They were the closest. Do you know what I mean? Based on last year, too. So I think you would expect them to be better with Laramie Tunsil and if Jaden don't have a sophomore slump. You can't predict a sophomore slump.
Literally, the only argument for the Commanders not being Super Bowl contenders is the sophomore slump.
It's
close. Pretty much. I think like Tampa, San Fran, LA could all be Super Bowl contenders. But I think we put one more NFC team up there, and I think it's the Lions because they were also close. And I know we wonder if their window's closing, but I love Dan Campbell. He motivates his guys. And if Aiden Hutchinson can come back healthy, they were damn close without him. He'd be he's fantastic edge player.
That's close. It's down to the Lions and the Niners. I mean, I love Baker right now, but it's down to the Lions and the Niners and Dale. It's fucking close. But I'm just going to go Niners just because they have the better roster.
Yeah.
I think those two teams go head to head. The Lions come out and win. I don't know, man. I'm just like Dan Campbell's team is just like come and punch you in the fucking mouth.
That's true. Yeah. I like Dan Campbell. I can see that.
All right, we got one more team left, and it's the Patriots, and it's kind of a tough one because Drake he be good. I don't know. I do think their wide receivers still aren't that great. They're hoping Stephon Diggs is a guy, brought in like Matt Collins, drafted Kyle Williams. They drafted your guy Will Campbell. You know, as of now, it looks like he's going to stick at left tackle. I know some people thought he'd slide inside. Garrett Bradbury, they brought in at center. Morgan Moses at right tackle. The O-line was a big weakness, so that's why I'm mentioning all those names. They've tried to rebuild it. I think it's still a huge question mark. We just don't know what that is. Wade says he thinks they're up and coming. I think it all boils down to Drake May, and I think he don't have the weapons yet. The only I feel like they could be up and coming. I understand why people would say that, and I think if Drake May lives up to this hype, and Trey also that they brought in with Ramondre Stevenson, they could have a pretty good rushing attack, and Travion on passes out of the backfield could be good. And then the defense, they brought in Mike Vrabel. Having Vrabel at coach more than players is probably the biggest move. I'm trying to talk myself into up and coming here for Wade. I'm starting to because now I'm looking at the defense. They brought in Milton Williams. If Christian Barmore is healthy, he's a good D tackle. And Milton Williams, Harold Landry, they brought in. Carlton Davis, Robert Spillane, Calebon Chasen. They've added some bodies on defense. Braden Swenson was a guy that went like the 4th or 5th round that shocked me that he went that low from LSU, Chop.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. What are you
That's
guys
the guy that Ian said on our show that was like his up and coming guy. He was going to surprise everybody. Braden Swenson.
I'll say this.
That's got any thoughts on the Pats?
You look at the division, and besides the exception of the Bills, Jets, nah. And you got also the Jets, Dolphins. Their window's closed. I could see the Patriots finishing second in the division. I was getting ready to put the nail in the coffin, but I undid the nail, so I can see them up and coming. I'm not a big believer in Drake May personally, but they, like you said, defense when they had a Milton, they loaded up. They're giving and they're loading up offense and defense. I think they're up and coming. They kind of remind me of the 2011 Bengals in a way.
And Vrabel's a defensive coach, So.
Yes.
I'm not
What are your
sure.
thoughts, Chop?
I think Buffalo wins the division easy, and then the rest of it's a toss-up. But I kind of still feel like Miami might go in that second spot, and then it's between them and the Jets. And at the beginning, when we were looking at New England putting them up, I thought up and coming. But listening to you talk, Dale, I think that they just missed the playoffs this year, and then next year they make a couple more good draft picks, hopefully, and then they could be up and coming. But I think they're fringe up and coming and miss the playoffs.
They need like a Malik Neighbors type wide receiver draft pick, or something like that. I think they're still missing. I don't think Stephon Diggs is that guy anymore. So that is the only reason we're not going to put them in up and coming. We're going to put them in playoffs, but we think they're a year away or a wide receiver trade away,
Could be.
potentially.
Well, I think they were thinking they were going to get.
That would have been a team that could have. Yeah.
They thought they were getting T because they believed all the fake news
Yeah.
going around.
Let me say this. So we got our ranking up here, right? But I just wondered when we got to the end of this, it's got top 10 picks. So that means 10 teams are going to pick those picks 1 through 10. So let's drag. So we got 6 teams in there now. So we're missing 4 teams. So what are the other 4 teams that you guys think are going to be picking in the top 10 next year?
Well, and those are usually close, right? From pick 7 to like 17, there's usually a game or two. You know what I mean? So it's usually not a big difference. But I definitely think Cleveland, for me personally. If you want to drag Cleveland down.
I could see Arizona. I said Arizona was the top 10 pick. I could see Arizona, and I still think Arizona's the top 10.
I don't disagree with that. So what are we looking for? 2 more. I would go personally. I think
Seattle could. I like their defense though. Damn it.
Yeah, I can't. There's no way I can pick. I can't pick Minnesota. I refuse to pick Minnesota. Green Bay. No, I don't think. I could the Patriots. I just had Patriots up and coming. No.
It's a hard.
Just leave it here. We don't have to put all 10. But I think the Jaguars could end up with the top 10. I do think and there could be teams that are in our up and coming that could end up with top 10 picks. The Giants could end up with a top 10 pick.
Man, the Browns could end up with 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah, the Jaguars. I could see the Jaguars with a top 10. I could see the Falcons with the top 10. And some of these are in the up and coming because we think they're on the rise. But there are teams that were picking in the top 10, especially the Giants. And the Giants. Picking third. Yeah, that's why I said the Giants, I think, definitely could be. But
I could see all those teams
coming. I think it just may take a couple years.
All the teams in up and coming, I could possibly see in top 10, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos would regress that much.
No, not that much.
But. All right, good show. Hour and 40 minutes in. It was a long one. Had 32 teams to get through.
My internet shit.
That's our
now.
list. Yeah, it wouldn't have made that big a difference.
Right.
But we appreciate y'all tuning in. Everybody have a good week.
Dale.
We'll be back on Friday. What?
1 second. Do you want me to read off what Stewart's agent said, or do you want to wait for that another time?
You can read it off.
Yeah, Stewart Trags. So this is so I forget who reported this in the group, but this is according to Trags and all that and stuff, and it's actually a long. So no, that's definitely not it. This is talking about Chase Burns, so that has nothing to do with it. Oh crap, where is it? Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break.
Off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. You like Kit Kats, Dale, or do you need ketchup for a Kit Kat?
Yeah, hold on. No.
Kit Kats are okay. I wouldn't say they're.
I get Kit Kats and Twix. Here we go. Zach Hitler. Oh, I thought I said Hitler. Hitler, the agent for Stewart, was on Sirius XM today with Wilcox and Christian Faria. And Hiller says, obviously my job and all agents' job is to protect the players. Simply put, Shamar would be, of course, love for his contract to be protective as the rest of his Bengals teammates in the past. And simply put, the way the contract currently reads is not as protective. Wilcott says, in what way is he not protective? Hiller says back, in the way when you sign the contract and your money is guaranteed, let's say it should be guaranteed. And if there's ways to get out of it, then it would be not as beneficial to the player. Hiller goes on to say, contracts are based on precedent. So when Shamar has never asked for anything more or less protective than any of his teammates, it's a simple fix. It's just say, hey, this is precedent. Let's keep the precedent. He goes on to say, it's essentially what the player signs his contract and it's guaranteed. It should completely, fully guaranteed. Obviously, if there's certain circumstances that happen, the team should be able to void. However, again, if you want to make changes to your proceeding, it should be a negotiation. It should give and take. It shouldn't just be, hey, we're changing this and sign or go scratch. And finally, this is the final thing he says. All he wants to do is be a Cincinnati Bengal. This guy is so excited to get drafted by Cincinnati. All he wants to do is be a Bengal. All he wanted to do was to be on the field.
Then sign the fucking contract.
You know what my mom would say? Stick
sign
out
the
your tongue
contract.
because it's probably black. Because
No,
you're probably lying.
You know what he says at the end? He's not been allowed to do that. Sure, he's been allowed to do that.
You know, fuck that guy. That's my personal opinion. Fuck that guy. You know,
Here's
this is
the
what I
thing,
would
like,
say.
I'm usually pretty. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like what I said before, Amarius Mims and Miles Murphy both had this shit in their contract. They both shut the fuck up, did the process, and it was negotiated out of their contract. This guy runs his fucking mouth. If I'm the Bengals and I'm trying to put this into contract now for the third year in a row, this is my stick. You ran your fucking mouth, sign or go back in the draft. Go ahead, Dale. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm usually more pro player, and like this one, the longer it went, and the more you heard about other rookies around him have the same language in their contract. I don't care what Mims. That's a different draft class, buddy. Get over it. Things change. This is the way it's trending now with the draft picks. Now is this language is in the contract. So what you need to do is you need to sign the contract that has similar language. If you want to be a Bengal and you want to get on the field, it's very simple. You put pen to paper and you get on the field. Don't do the dumb shit off the field that would void the contract, and it doesn't even matter. You're right, it's fully guaranteed and this, that, and the other. Just get on, sign the fucking contract, and get on the field, and stop being a fucking diva. At this point, I'm on the Bengals side, and I'm never on the Bengals side.
And he also adds, Cincinnati fans, he wants to show Cincinnati fans what an incredible football player he is, that this team was lucky to draft where they drafted. I mean, because a lot of fans
talk about salt in the wound. No, he's not, motherfucker. But we're all hoping with a little practice, which he's not doing, he could get refined and polished. But in college, no.
But he says he's not been allowed to do that. No, he's been allowed to do that. You chose not to let him do that.
Yeah. By the way, I got a pretty elite Shamar Stewart shirt in the shop.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I'm not burning it, but it's cool. Yeah.
You know what? I love the shirt.
Yeah, the shirt's awesome.
I also love Midwest Best Barbecue, another proud sponsor of this.
That is really good stuff there at Midwest.
I had I had some meat in my mouth yesterday.
I saw you with the meat in your mouth. Greg is never happier than when he's got Tim's meat in his mouth.
Well, Corey's meat, whether it's Corey's meat,
Corey's meat too.
Uno's meat, mac and cheese, whatever.
Greg will service all meats.
Yes.
Greg, he has the meats.
Yes, I do.
Good show.
Yeah. That you didn't even need to talk about him that much, Greg. Yeah, and I agree, Ryan. He would lose millions if he went back in. It would just be.
He's going to sign.
Moronic. So sign it and get over it. Like, it's not a big deal.